That's right. That's right. Here
Never
we are.
gets old.
It does not get. You know what? I could watch The Office again and again and again. Anyway, here we are inside BBI. John and Eric, John McDevitt, along with senior editor, Big Blue Interactive, Mr. Eric Kennedy. And boy, I'm telling you, this is it. That's right. It's huge.
that's
We
that's
we
what she
we've been
said.
we've been talking about it and talking about it and talking about it, and it came through. It came through. Harbaugh to the Giants. It's happening. It's happening.
Yeah, they happened like half an hour after I did my update last night at like 10:30 at night. I hit submit, and then like 20 minutes later, Paul Schwartz says it's done. And again, I'm happy, but I'm like, couldn't you've done that 20 minutes early? But anyways, yes. All right,
If,
this is
if
huge. I hope everyone realizes how big this is. This is really, really, really big. We'll get into it. So,
so,
but
I saw someone post on X that they made this the statement. Was it Vacchiano? I think it was Vacchiano. You know, I am picking up that feedback now. Um,
I'm not hearing it. I hope you're. Is anyone else picking up feedback? Let us know in comments. Sorry, my
uh,
computer downstairs died, or is dying. I'm relegated to my upstairs computer. Sorry.
that's fine. So he made the comment that this is the biggest thing that the Giants have had. Yeah, it's not. It's. I'm echoing because I can hear after I say it. I can hear it over there.
Okay,
But
but
anyway,
it's not me then.
well, I think so because everything else for me is the same,
Oh, I don't know how to fix that.
and I'm trying to think of it too. But there's no way.
Okay. Well, anyways,
Anyway, it doesn't matter. We're
yeah,
gonna
it
deal
doesn't
with it.
matter. We're plowing ahead.
So the point is, he made the point that this was the biggest thing since the Giants. He didn't say Coughlin. He basically went back to this is the biggest thing, changing the culture, and people got mad and said, "Well, what about Coughlin?" And I was
Who
like,
said this? I'm sorry. I was thinking about the
Vacchiano
feedback
said
thing.
it, and other
Hold on.
people were saying it back
Yeah.
to him. And then I said they included Coughlin. I'm like, we can't really include Coughlin because the Giants had been in the Super Bowl, 4 years prior to Coughlin coming on board. This is 10, 12 years, really. I mean,
Almost 15.
of the downhill decline. This is equivalent to George Young. This is equivalent to George Young coming on board during a time in which there was years and years and years and years and years.
I can see the Coughlin comparison. It's a significant culture shift, and I saw Connor Hughes, who we should give credit to for his outstanding reporting. Ian O'Connor of the Athletic was first and foremost out there with his reporting, but Connor Hughes was second, and Connor Hughes was on some broadcast yesterday or last night, it might have been this morning, and he said, and his host who was interviewing him used the term the Giants have been rudderless, and that was a perfect description. They've been kind of rudderless, and Harbaugh's the new rudder. I mean, and everyone look, Harbaugh could come in here and nothing might change. I don't think that's what's going to happen. So again, we're all excited because we've been down as a fan base for a long, long time. But this is the guy that made the most sense, and it just feels different. So we'll see. He's going to come in here, and it sounds like this is going to be just a big change, a sea change for the Giants. And I think, again, I keep emphasizing this, and maybe I'm overemphasizing this, is we were given a tremendous gift here because the Ravens let him go. And I think it's becoming clearer by the minute, not the day, the minute that he really wanted to come here. So I understand a lot of Giants fans are saying, let's give ownership and Joe Schoen and everybody credit for reeling him in. And they do deserve credit in my book for not messing it up. But in a way, it sounds like John Harbaugh really wanted to be here from the get-go. And that kind of goes hand in hand with what I heard from the asshats that were contacting me. It kind of goes in hand with Pretty Ricky was saying. And it also kind of goes hand in hand. And we have to get, I was getting into it last night with Blacklight on this. that angry inside NFL guy nailed the time. Nailed this. I mean,
Yeah.
not only did he say it was happening, he nailed the days that it was going to happen. So when we were on just a few days ago, and you brought him up, and you said you spelled out the timeline, I was thinking it's not going to happen this quickly. It's going to be the earliest this could happen is Friday. But here we are on Thursday, and it's not official, but it's done, and that's basically what. And he later said, they won't do anything until next week because the NFL doesn't want them overshadowing the playoff games. He said that before this, and that's what's going on now. The press conference is being postponed or is going to be held next week, and that's what this other guy said. So, long story short, and you sort of way you said you were leaning in this direction too, John, because you kept saying you thought the Giants had an inkling that Harbaugh might become available, and that's why they did so much homework on him. And maybe they had an inkling that if he did become available, he was interested in coming here too.
I think I have a weird feeling that there was some conversations going on beforehand. Um, I sent you a message. Take a look at it real quick if you could. Um,
You sent me a message where? Oh,
yep, there you go. And I wanted to see uh, the way things kind of played out, if it fit the narrative or fit my theory, and it kind of did. It kind of did. They instantly, yeah,
it helped.
mm, we'll see. We'll
Okay.
see. It's hard for me to tell. No, it's still kind of there. I might pull out. That's gonna sound weird. I might pull myself off the screen and then come back into it and see what happens. I can still hear it, but I hear it after the fact. It's still, we've only had it happen the one other time, and we never did figure out why it was doing it.
Apologies, guys. All right,
Yeah,
we'll
it's all right.
plow
We'll
on.
deal with it. We'll deal with it. Hey, look, it's thrown together live. Yeah. But the funny thing is, I first brought this up saying, you have a beer. I went with water because I'm still trying to be good.
It's you got to celebrate. You had champagne in the opening. You have to.
I know, and I still have to get. I got to work out. I got to get in still. So that's the part. I brought it up a while back when we were first talking about coaches, and I said one to watch is Baltimore. I said Baltimore. There's some things going on there that Harbaugh might not be there. And
Yes, you did.
I mean, the fact that it came through, and you keep pointing out, and I think rightfully so, that the missed field goal really brought that about. I still believe that had they gone to the playoffs and won, lost, I think you would have seen Harbaugh do the same thing as Tomlin. I think either he steps down or he's removed. But he dug his heels in about, I'm not making changes to my staff.
Yeah.
That's the word.
And plus, again, it begs the question: if he was released, I mean, if he'd lasted another week, would the Giants have waited?
Right.
So,
and if he steps down, then the only way the Giants can get him is to make a trade.
Yes.
So everything had to work out, but clearly they knew something and they planned ahead. They were already looking at him. And if you caught, there were two different people. I think Ian O'Connor was one, but I can't remember who the other person was.
Wait, is this true? Or is he's just screwing around?
I would suspect that that's just screwing around.
That's just screwing around. Okay.
I saw that there were some comments that Harbaugh's crew kind of let the Giants know that if he was available, he'd be interested. Now, that's got to be on the way download. So whoever's throwing that out there has to be really careful how they say that, because the NFL would frown on that.
Well, or here's the key quote from Ian O'Connor 6 hours ago. From the day he got fired, John Harbaugh was thinking about leading the New York Giants out of that tunnel. He was picturing himself in that hat and in that jacket. The history of the league means a lot to him. Frankly, it always sounded like the other contenders had no chance. And again, Ian has been talking to Harbaugh. I hope everybody understands that, because there have been too many comments where people are like, how the hell does Ian O'Connor know what's going on? Ian O'Connor has been talking to Harbaugh. So I think from the very beginning, I think it's, like I said, I think this is becoming clearer by the day that unless the Giants screwed this up, this was preordained to happen once he left Baltimore. And again, for once, we got a break. The other team didn't kick the 60-yard field goal. There wasn't the fourth quarter 33-point comeback. There wasn't some weird thing where we got left in the dust. The Barkley going to the Eagles. There wasn't, everything. Everyone has said this, the same thing's popped in everyone's head. Whatever prayer we made during the last Super Bowl in 42 and 46, that everyone thinks that came back to haunt us for the last decade. And whatever that is, that curse may have finally broken, because John Harbaugh shouldn't be out there. And John Harbaugh came out there with 9 teams looking for head coaches, and he said, I want to come to the New York Giants. And a lot of that has to do with Jaxson Dart. And not that him recruiting him, but the fact that he looked at Jackson and he said, I want to be with that guy. I need a quarterback. I believe in him. Again, I think being in the New York Northeast area matters, because I think, again, I heard Maryland was important to the family, that they like living in this region. So I think, as long as, and there was another interesting comment from, God, who said it? I forget who posted it. It might have been Paul Schwartz, might have been Ian O'Connor again, but somebody asked him that if Green Bay had become available, he would have ended up there, and the response was, don't believe that. So I think, again, this is what we were hearing. I was hearing from the asshats. This is what the other asshats from other sources were saying, and I think this was the Giants, to their credit, rolled out the red carpet. They put on a full court press. They did everything that you would hope they would do, and they didn't screw it up. So all they had to do, I think, in this case, was not screw it up. Give him the money he wants. Don't do something stupid. Don't say something like, no, Joe Shane's going to call, make all the draft picks, and you're not going to have the predominant say in personnel decisions. They didn't do something stupid like that. And this sounds like this was done. I heard somebody this morning say this was actually done before he left. And the word wasn't supposed to leak out, but it leaked out from Paul Schwartz. So I think it was Connor Hughes that said it. So I think this was actually done. This was done before he got on the plane, and he was never going to Tennessee. Sorry, I talked too much.
No.
But at least you're not echoing.
As long as I don't talk, it doesn't echo. Can you address what you put in BBI, BigBlueInteractive.com, which was Chris Mara went off script? Can you explain kind of what?
Yeah, I don't know. That blew me away. I've got contacts by 3 people about all this Harbaugh stuff, and one of them, who's been really, really, really good, said that Chris Mara, quote unquote, went rogue in his trip to Maryland, and John wasn't pleased about that. Not you, John Mara.
I was thrilled with it.
So standing back, not knowing what happened, that seems to have been a good move on Chris's part to go rogue. Maybe it wasn't. I don't know. The only thing you and I criticized was Chris telling the public that he had done it.
Did you see it? There was a piece about that. It might have been Ian O'Connor who put it out there, but the point was, I don't think Harbaugh and his group were happy that the Falcons called a phone call, kind of an interview. And so the Giants then said, okay. And Chris Mara said, okay. And he let it leak to Ian. Well, I went to his house.
Yeah. And I understand that, but Atlanta was being kind of bitchy, and I understand that, but sometimes you don't stoop to that level. But again, it's not a big deal. It's just, I wouldn't have done it. I would have been like,
maybe it's more a hold my beer.
Yeah, I think that's what it was. So I'm not sure I believe the rogue thing, but it's coming from a good source. So if it is, it's kind of telling.
But rogue could have been misinterpreted as rogue being him telling that he had gone and done.
No, it was specifically that he did not want him going. He did not like him going to Maryland and meeting with him. But I have a hard time believing that one.
Yeah, it's kind of weird when we are rolling out every possible
Yeah.
red carpet, shiny light, whatever we
Yeah,
can.
I don't, doesn't make sense to me, but I don't, so I'm not going to put a lot of stuff, it's not a lot of stock. I trust the source. I just not going to worry that much about it. When I hear Rogue, I think of Rogue One as Star Wars too. I don't, I don't know, but,
I think of the X-Men, so I guess we're in a whole different, wow. Okay.
All right. So, but let's get back
You know,
focused.
one thing I will say with the way it was going, the way people were tracking the plane, the plane's landed, it's on the tarmac, all that good stuff.
It was plaques.
Well, yeah, but that's not what I was thinking. More movies, and it's a bad movie, so most people probably either A, haven't seen it, or B, go, my God, that's a bad movie. I think of Johnny Be Good, way back when the kid who was in 16 Candles was in Vacation. He's a Johnny, the football star, and he's being recruited to go to all these colleges.
Mm.
And when he lands at a plane, they're rolling out the red carpet. They're sending him cheerleaders. They're giving him all this other stuff. And that's what I was thinking. The Giants were giving pretty much everything. I mean, we were literally like one trip to like a nightclub away from like rolling everything possible.
Yeah, it was funny because people were saying, well, the plane hasn't left yet, and so it was funny. I've seen that kind of stuff with military traffic when people were trying to figure out what was going on with Iran and stuff like that. So it was kind of funny being translated to the sports world. So it was interesting. So, but like, let's take a step back here. Again, this is gigantic for the organization. Yes. This is enormous. And again, it's kind of what you were talking about with the George Young thing. You can say it's a Bill Parcells type thing, it's a Tom Coughlin type thing, but it's a culture shift. And Mike Garafolo was on there on the
Good Morning Football.
Good Morning Football, and he was just blown away in terms of what this means for the New York Giants. And it does. It's going to give a strong rudder. I like that analogy.
Yeah.
It's going to give a rudder to the franchise that it desperately needs, and no one's going to second guess him. So I mean, we're New York fans. Everyone will second guess anything, but you know what I mean. That he is easily one of the top 5 coaches in the NFL, and he's coming here, and it's going to be fun to see what his staff is going to look like, and what the roster moves are that he's going to look like, what free agency is going to look like, the draft. Do they keep the pick? Do they try to trade down? But everything's going to have a new sort of fresh feel to it. I don't know if they're going to be a winning football team in 2026, but I'm very confident they're going to be heading in the right direction right now. I feel like we have a competent direct leader who knows how to build a program. It's not just a team, it's a program. He knows how to build a program, and everything else will emanate from that. And I look forward to it. It's going to be fun. It's going to actually be fun now to think about the regular season and see the Giants play in the regular season. I'm really excited about this.
Well, like when the coaching staffs were being put together previously, you're always like, oh, okay, who's that guy? Oh, he's been on a couple teams, but well, whatever. This is different. This is a head coach that he's going to bring some guys in. There's going to be people that want to come here to be with him.
Yes.
Which is way different. You're not having to like, oh God, I hope we can entice this person to not go somewhere else.
We're not going to get stuck with Shane Bowen being the third choice.
Right. Or, your second or third, defensive coordinator choice. You're not going to come in exactly with your look at what he did right here. Yeah. There's none of that crap.
Yeah. Remember, Shane Bowen was their third choice because the first 2 passed.
And the other thing is one of the things that I've been kind of saying about this one particular player, Dexter Lawrence, is that here's a guy who's been with the team for a while, but all he's known is losing. And after a while, I mean, to me, I start going, okay, he's an asset that we can move because we haven't won anything with him. I now look at it a little bit differently. John Harbaugh comes in. If he thinks that guy is staying, he's staying. And I think Lawrence might have a whole different outlook when you see a John Harbaugh is the head coach of this team versus the next up and coming guy or the third choice guy or whatever that happens. if they decide to trade him, they trade him. And I think the rest of the team's going to be okay with different things too, because John Harbaugh is that kind of guy. So I'm there's just something about it just gives you excitement.
When we have had veteran coaches come in here, Dan Reeves, Tom Coughlin, some players don't buy into the program, even good players, and they're shown the door. So that will be interesting to watch too. So I'm not saying Dexter's going to be one of those guys, but these guys, the New York Giants players better buy into what Harbaugh's selling, or it doesn't matter how good they are, they're not going to be here. So Jaxson Dart being the exception, because I think, again, Harbaugh's here because of Jaxson Dart. But if you don't buy into this program, you're out. I mean, and with Dan Reeves, it was kind of painful. He got rid of some Giants that fans and me personally loved, and I was like, why
Yes.
are we getting rid of them? And that came back to haunt them a little bit too. And then Reeves brought in his Denver. Remember the Denver Giants?
Oh,
Remember all the
absolutely.
guys he brought in
Michael
from,
Brooks and
yeah,
Marshall and
Mark
yeah,
Jackson,
Mark
and
Jackson. Yeah, absolutely.
So I expect to see some Ravens on our team. There are actually, I just did all the write-ups for all the players. That's what I've been doing this week. So there is a section on the site called Scouting Reports, and it's a write-up. So I updated all of them, and there are actually a couple of guys and some of them didn't play this year, because, like Chris Board, because he got hurt early on, but he's a linebacker and special team. He was the special teams captain under John Harbaugh. Remember, John Harbaugh is a special teams
Right.
coach. That's his background. He was like Joe Judge. He was a special teams coordinator, and Chris Board was the special teams captain under Harbaugh in 2024. And he came to the Giants, and he didn't play this year because he got hurt and they put him on IR. But somebody like that probably will stick around, I would think. And then we might see some other Ravens. Everyone's thinking about the center in free agency, but we may see some guys that are just brought in here basically to say, this is how John Harbaugh runs things. They don't even have to be like stars. They can just be guys that are like, this is what the expectation level is, and no more goofing off, no more, there's no more, I think of Tay Banks and Abdul Carter and these guys. And again, Abdul Carter had a good year, but there's a new sheriff in town, and I hope the New York Giants players understand that this is not country club anymore.
Well, I'm glad you said there's three guys immediately come to mind. Everybody talks about the first one, which is Linderbaum. And I do think that's a possibility, but he's going to be expensive. So don't, the Giants do have a center, and he's young. And while he's not the greatest in the world, he's not the worst. And cost is going to come into play. Now, if Harbaugh wants Linderbaum and that's the way he wants it, fine, go for it. But I would say you got to trade, John Michael Schmitz at the same time. Then you can't have both of them, because they're both just centers.
Right.
So, but the two other guys though, Patrick Ricard, which I really think the Giants should look at and bring in, and I think for the way Monkton plays his offense makes a lot of sense. And Charlie Kolar, the tight end, the third tight end for the Ravens. I don't want Isaiah Likely. Kolar's a guy who's going to bring blocking. He's going to bring consistency. He's been underused in Baltimore, but he's a guy who can play. He would be a second or third tight end for this.
He would replace Bellinger, who's going to be a free agent,
who they probably won't resign, but we don't know know that.
But that's the kind of thing that Giants fans better start preparing for. One of the things I have noticed is that, and maybe it's because it's a youth thing. Maybe there are a lot of Giants fans who are in their 20s and 30s that follow us. BBI's got a pretty old crowd. I was even laughing about it with my ad manager the other day. We have a very loyal audience, but it's an older crowd. But if you're in your 20s and 30s, you haven't seen the Giants win, and you don't know what a winning organization looks like. And I get a little irritated. It's not the right word. I guess frustrated. Thank you, John. When I see Charlie Bullen needs to be the defensive coordinator, keep Brian Dable as the offensive coordinator, and I'm like, no, stop pining for old stuff that didn't work. Stop thinking of, and we're going to see some of this with the players too. They're going to be, if they let Daniel Bellinger go, some people are going to be like, oh, I didn't wish I didn't really wish we let Daniel Bellinger go. Again, Daniel Bellinger's okay, but he's not. He's nothing special. He's just decent at some things. It's like Cy talks about in his game reviews. He's kind of like just okay at everything, but not really good at anything.
Right.
And so if you can upgrade and bring in a tight end who can do better, plus he understands Harbaugh's team building aspect, then that makes a lot of sense, John. So again, so Giants fans are better prepare for themselves that a lot of the stuff that you become familiar with, that maybe it's almost like Stockholm syndrome, that you've gotten sort of kind of used to, even though it's shit, that's gone now. We don't want any more shit. We want we 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 want the non-shitty stuff to be here now.
Do you know what's kind of funny is the what you just said a second ago, not the shit part, but it's really the same. It's the same thing. Everybody gets mad and just blast the Giants for meaningless wins, right? End of the season, meaningless wins. You hate them. Other people hate them. They blast it. But then those are a lot of them are the same people who go, "Oh, we got to keep Charlie Bowen. Look how much better the Giants defense played." For what?
But it didn't.
3 or 4 games against teams that were already, they basically had down the toilet. We were just in the bowl.
Well, remember this. Remember Dallas pulled out before Dallas pulled out their starters in the second half. Remember the Dallas's 4th string running back was running up and down the field on us. Yeah, Charlie Bowen's defense is great. I mean, so don't give me this. Well, he played better. Abdul Carter played better under him. So what? That doesn't mean you keep him as a defensive coordinator. I mean,
I've said this. I said it on a different show that we did, but I said it back in BBI years ago in one of the threads, and I can remember this. The season specifically was 2014, I believe. It was either 14 or 15, and everybody was talking about, well, we need to go and we need to. I think it was 2014 going into 15. We need to upgrade the defense. Oh, look at the stats the offense put up, and I'm like, never look at stats in a losing season. When you look at offensive stats in a season in which you're losing constantly, that means you're behind in games all the time, which means you're probably throwing the ball all the time. You probably got chunks of yards and even some points at times in a game when the game's already over. Don't count stats just looking at it going, look how great we are. It's when did that happen? When did the offense put those points up? Were we in the lead and our defense just let it go away? Or could we not score early and we were throwing up chunks of points and yardage in games we were already out of? It's really important. Context is super important to almost any discussion that you have. And I think people just look at it and they're like, oh, look how much better we played here. Okay, but who were we playing? Who were they putting on the field at that point in time? That makes a difference. And by the way, I don't care about any of that. Harbaugh is going to come in with the looks that he wants. I'll say this. I caught airing it out on Sirius Radio this afternoon as I was driving around. I had to go do a couple things. And they had a reporter on for the Steelers. So they're talking about the Steelers, talking about Tomlin, all this other stuff. As he's finishing it, airing it out is hosted by Bob Papa. As he's finishing it, the guy says to Bob Papa, he goes, well, real quick, I just want to let you know, the Giants are going to be the team that turns things around in 26. I'm telling you right now. He goes, it was the best situation, and they just went and got the best coach.
Well, that was going to be my question to you. Who's got the best coach in the NFC East?
Oh, without a doubt. It's not even in question. It's not even
right? Yeah. It's not close. It's not close, right?
Right. Absolutely.
Now, the next question, which will get a lot of non-Giants fans pissed off, is which quarterback would you rather have in the NFC East right now, moving forward? Not in the past,
right?
But moving forward.
It is tough because you do have to give Dak his credit.
Dak had a wonderful year. He had a fantastic year.
I'm a huge, ever since Dart came on board and we saw him play a little bit, I'm fully behind. As far as going forward, and I think what he can become, what we saw with a very fractured and messed up Giants organization this year and what he could be in a much more structured organization, I think we're looking at the beginning of something big.
It was stunning how well Jaxson Dart played with everything that was flying around him. The coaching change, the shitty defense, the horrific wide receiver core, a rookie season, all of that, and he still had the season that he had. He had 24 touchdowns in 12 games. He didn't make a lot of stupid plays. There were only a couple of games where people were like, ugh. And I was prepared for half his games to be a disaster. Again, Eli Manning's rookie season, except for the last game, which they didn't score a lot of points, was a mess. And you throw in the Pittsburgh. You always throw in the
Pittsburgh game is the other one,
which they lost, but he played well in that game.
Right,
but there were games in that rookie year where he was just, and it's not just the Ravens game where he had the 0.0 quarterback rating. He was really bad.
Falcons and Bears, I think both those games were bad.
So now that doesn't mean Jaxson Dart is guaranteed to move forward great. Look, last year, Jaden Daniels looked like the man, and he still may be, but those injury issues that people feared with his frame are coming into play. That's why I'm saying, it's going to be it's going to be interesting, the Jaden Daniels versus Jaxson Dart rivalry, if you want to call it, moving forward to see what happens there. But Hurts, we'll have to see if Brian Dable goes there and see what impact that has. But Hurts is,
he's in,
and then I think the Eagles might be on the downward path a little bit here. So Dallas is weird. Dallas is just a weird team. I don't know what they don't make sense to me, some of the decisions that they make. But the Giants, where I'm going with this is the Giants. I want to tamp down the expectations a little bit because everyone's justifiably excited, but don't expect the Giants to immediately compete for a Super Bowl next year. They might, but don't jump to that conclusion. There's an Office Space reference there.
It's
one
a
of the
jump
great movies of all
to
time,
conclusions, Matt.
Where was I going with this?
No,
I think there's a chance that the Giants could be very competitive in the NFC East pretty quickly because of the coaching and the quarterback situation and the pass rush.
The bigger parallel right now, at least in terms of the quarterback situation and the new coach coming in, is New England and Chicago.
Yes.
Both those teams were coming off quarterbacks on the rookie year in which they got rid of the coach that was in place and brought in a new coach. New England brought in a veteran coach. Chicago went with the up-and-comer. So right now, the parallel more fits New England. Now, here's another one that's kind of...
Can I say one quick thing? But we got to recognize both those teams nailed it in free agency.
I'm glad you brought that up.
Except for New England with the wide receiver, as you brought up, who's a little...
Well, but here's the thing. But here's the thing about that, though. Here's the other parallel that fits very well. New England went and signed Stephon Diggs in free agency, right?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
What was Stephon Diggs' condition coming out of the season last year?
He had an ACL.
Right. He was coming off an ACL injury coming in. They signed him as a free agent coming in. He had to rehab, come through. And here we are expecting Neighbors to come back. Hopefully. Now, I'm really concerned that his knee might be worse than...
He was still on like a crutch in the Dallas game. Not a crutch, but a cane. I hope that's...
He had a brace and a cane. But the thing that kind of... If you look at what happened with Patrick Mahomes, he injures his knee. He had surgery the next day, 2 days, within 2 days?
Same surgeon with Neighbors, too.
Neighbors' surgery was weeks afterwards.
Right.
And that's always concerning because usually that can tend to point to there was a little bit more damage. There's a lot of swelling and they're waiting for it to come down before they do.
I think we have to assume Neighbors' knee is more serious than we would like because based on what you just said, but more the fact that he's still hobbling around right now.
And he kind of said in a weird way that makes you think, okay, he might not be. But either way, I don't think it's going to end his career. I don't think that. But I think
it's a worry. It's a worry.
But the pup is a possibility, which means wide receiver becomes a bigger need. It's already a need, but it becomes a bigger need. But I think tight end does as well. But there's just parallels there, right? The Giants already have some of the pieces that the Patriots had to go and get. They've already got the edge rushers. The interior, we might need to beef that up just a little bit. The Ravens defense, the way they played, and if the Giants are going to mimic the Ravens, and it depends. We don't know who the coordinator is going to be yet. If it does, you're going to get a little bit beefier guys. They're not as tall, except for the few times Calais Campbell was there, but he played more of
Right.
the 3-4 end. But their interior guys are really beefy, not so tall, 6'2", 6'3" max, but usually in the 320, 330 range in the middle. So we're going to look at big guys in the middle to really eat that up. We have some bigger guys, but they're not as stout in the run game, and we've seen that. So we'll see. But I'm excited for the fact that if you can really get a good offensive scheme together to kind of maximize the things that Dart does well and continue his growth, the limits are not known of what he could become.
The sneaky position that's going to possibly go over a major overhaul is the offensive line. And some fans will say, "Well, what do you mean the offensive line really played decently and better?" They'll argue incorrectly that the Giants' offensive line play this past year, despite the record, was probably the best that the team has had in a decade. However, Illuminor is a free agent, and at his age, again, I just did the write-ups. He was penalized 12 times. He's an okay run blocker, but he's not a great run blocker. He's very steady in pass pro, but he had a ton of penalties, and he's going to want to get paid. Schmitz, we've talked about, and Schmitz had a decent year, but the problem with Schmitz is he keeps getting hurt. And then it's the guards. So the guards we have aren't the kind of guards the Ravens normally have.
True.
Andrew Thomas isn't going anywhere, but I could see the Giants having 2 new guards and a new right tackle, and maybe even a center. They could have 4 new offensive linemen coming. So I think the sneaky position that could see a major overhaul just because Harbaugh's coming in and Monken is the offensive line. So we'll have to see what they think about Marcus Bowe, whether he's a guard, tackle, center, wherever they think of him. We'll see if they re-sign Illuminor. I'm leaning against doing that because I think he's not at that age. I think there's a risk of overpaying him. But we'll see. But I agree with you. I think defensive line will be interesting to see what they do. Not the edge guys. I'm talking about in the middle, in the middle. And then inside linebacker. They've got to get better inside linebackers. Their inside linebackers were dreadful. And McFadden's a free agent. I'm not sure he's going to be back. There's going to be the Giants are going to have a lot of free agents, and a lot of them are probably not going to be back. We'll see. That's what my comment earlier. Giants fans better, and I think most Giants fans are okay with most of these guys leaving, but there are going to be some players that people are going to be tied to that you need to understand that they're going to be gone, not just because of who they are, but because they may not fit the new program, the new culture, the new what they want to bring in here. And a lot of us have become accustomed to the shit, and we're now going to start seeing how a real football operation runs. Thank God. I mean, that's
Right.
I found out last night, like everybody else did. It was funny because I think a lot of BBIers and a lot of Giants fans didn't find out until they woke up this morning. But I found out around 11 o'clock last night, and I stayed up, and then I went to bed after midnight, and I couldn't fall asleep because I was thinking about all the possibilities. I thought this was going to happen, but I still was worried about it. And once it happened, it was like, I didn't get to bed last night. I was thinking about all this. So the guys that actually didn't know until they woke up this morning were lucky because you guys got a good night's sleep. But this is really big.
It's the offensive line thing, I think, is the big one, right? There's only so much money that their Giants are going to be able to spend based on the cap. So redoing 4/5 of your offensive line seems a lot. I don't think they can go that much and still do some of the other things. That doesn't mean, however, that everybody behind there, though, I think they're gonna draft guys. I think you'll see them move down, get extra picks.
Let's stop. Wait. Well, let's stop. Do you think Van Roten will be your starting right guard next year?
I don't think he's going to be re-signed. I don't.
Right.
Yeah.
All right. Do you think there's a very good chance Illuminor is not back?
I think his cost is going to be really tough because how do you justify, unless you absolutely feel like he's your right tackle going forward for a while, you're going to be paying him big money. I don't know.
So your right side is already gone. Your right
Correct.
side's already gone. The big question is, do you swap out Linderbaum for Schmitz? Maybe not. Maybe you don't do that. But that's certainly being thought of by a lot of
Sure,
people. And then the big question on the left side is, do
Runyon.
you stick with Runyon and his
I
contract for one more year?
I
And
think you
he's
do.
not a bad player, but he's just not like, if you're going to run the football and you're going to play power, he's not your guy. So
I think he's probably the guy who I'm least worried about, just because on his side he's signed.
right, he's the
The
most likely to stay of the four.
the right side is not signed at all. Van Roten, Illuminor,
Right.
you don't have either one of them. Now Marcus Bowe can play somewhere, but we don't. Again, a lot
We
of this
don't know what they want to do.
right, and what the thought is. What did so? Here's the thing: it's not just what the Giants organization thinks of Marcus Bowe after going into the season, after the season. It's now what did John Harbaugh and the people that he was
Yes,
with, what did they think of Bo coming out? Where did they think he would ultimately play?
exactly. So
So
they
that's
scouted
huge.
him. The Ravens scouted him. Harbaugh scouted him. They
Sure.
know who Marcus Bowe is. So they'll have an idea. Who's going to be the offensive line coach for this team? Are they going to keep Russillo? I
Well,
mean,
what
Si's
do you
out there
think?
tweeting saying keep Russillo. Whatever John Harbaugh wants to do, I'm okay with. I
I
don't care.
agree.
I
I
don't.
agree.
I'm not lobbying for anyone to keep any of these guys.
You you
But if he wants to keep them, great. But
you
that's up to
can't
him.
you can't have the mindset that says don't interfere with Harbaugh, let him do whatever he wants, but he has to keep these guys. I think Brasillo did a great job. I think he did an amazing job for what he had to work with. Do I think Harbaugh has to be saddled with him? No. If he doesn't want to do that, then the answer is no.
Right.
You just gave this guy $20 million to make decisions. And by the way, it seems pretty obvious he's going to be above Joe Schoen when it comes to deciding how things are going. And it sounds to me like Joe Schoen is okay with this.
Do you want to hear one of my pet peeves? I
Please,
know that no one's going to give a shit about.
please.
When I run BBI. I also maintain on BBI the page on the listing of the Giants coaches with all of their resumes. I have to update that usually every 2 years completely because they keep firing coaches. I'm going to have to do that again. I'm going to have to do that again now. It is a pain in the ass to write that page, but in a way I'm going to be kind of excited to see who these guys are. But here we go again. I mean, most of these coaches are going to be gone. There might be some guys that they keep like as a quality control coach or something like that. Well, I think it's interesting is Zach Kruer, who was like a defensive quality or control coach now, is with the Patriots, and he's such a great coach now. So some of these guys, even we've talked about players for the Giants going on, like Xavier McKinney going on and doing great things. Some of the coaches that have left here have gone on and done things too.
Can we stop with the pining for Wink Martindale to rejoin
Oh
Harbaugh?
God, please! Oh, stop.
Harbaugh didn't want Wink Martindale back when he left the Ravens back then. They were happy to split ways at that time. But when he came to the Giants, he's not going to go get Wink
Yeah, Paul Kelly's on here saying, "Why did we start at 3 o'clock? I'm at work." It's because we don't want you on here, Paul, because you keep talking about Wink Martindale. Let it go. Let it go. No more old Giant crap. All right, moratorium. No Giants from the last 15 years. None. None. Gone. They're gone. Crap. Worst. Awful. I was too young. I was alive, but I was too young to live through the shit of the 70s. But this was my version of that, and I don't want anything associated with the last 15 years. None of these people, none of them, coaches, players, keep them away. I don't want them. That's where I am right now. Don't Wink to me is not a someone to pine for kind of guy. He was part of the problem. So, anyways, I'm off of that.
This was 6 minutes ago. Connor Hughes shared in the days before telling the Giants he was going to take their head coaching job, John Harbaugh sought out and contacted positional coaches from Brian Daboll's staff to pick their brains on the state of the roster. Several of the coaches had never spoken to Harbaugh before. They talked for 30 plus minutes about the ins and outs of the team. So, again, he hadn't even sat down with the Giants in person yet, and he's already going through the roster people.
He wanted to
in the
come
making.
here.
This
Yeah,
is
I
in the
think
making.
the only way this again, I don't know this, but I strongly believe this. The only way he's not the New York Giants head coach is if the Giants screwed up. So again, to use a really bad analogy of like if my wife yelled at me that we missed the garbage pickup, and so if the garbage doesn't get picked up, it's because we didn't take it out. It's not because so he was going to come here.
Yes.
He was going to come here as long as the Giants didn't forget to take out the garbage. take out. I know that's a horrible analogy, but they did what they had to do. They didn't screw it up. They didn't F it up. Where Harbaugh went, whoa! I wanted to come here, but not here. Joe Shane's a dick, or I can't deal with Chris Mara or Tisch or whatever. They didn't mess this up. They rolled out the red carpet. They wooed him. Say wooed. I always think of Always Sunny in Philadelphia. Oh yeah, I could go for some wood. I don't. Charlie, I don't know if you know that.
Yeah,
but
I was thinking of Ric Flair, but
they did what they were supposed to do. When you want somebody, you go out and you woo them. They wooed them. They brought him in. They didn't screw it up. They didn't do anything. And then so it was, and I think this was preordained. I do, and that's what I was told, and that's what Ricky was saying too.
Joker Shawnee B from New York Rush is saying that they're hearing the possibility, and I saw this elsewhere, that Jim Leonard might be the defensive coordinator of choice.
That was posted on BBI because somebody said Pretty Ricky said it, suggested. Well, not since he didn't name him by name, but he said go Badgers.
And Leonard played for the Ravens briefly, I think 2007, 2008.
Where is Leonard now?
Is he with the Broncos? I believe he's a defensive back passing game. He's with the Broncos.
I saw that right before we got on, and I don't even know where Leonard is right now. I don't know.
So Slicer, I enjoy your posts. You're obviously not a Giants fan. I enjoy your little chat things here. You can be bitter about John Harbaugh being a winning coach for your organization for 18 years, or you could just be a Giants fan and watch us be out of the hunt by October. So
this might be what's going on. I thought about this too.
Yeah, so. I thought so. I looked it up, but I didn't want to say anything while we were.
Yeah, so that it actually might be. I don't know right now how to, because I'm again. I had to run up. My computer downstairs died. I had to run upstairs. I didn't have a chance to just mess around with this. So sorry.
It's all good. Yeah. It's all good. So the staff piece is going to be used. Leonard is with the Broncos, yes. So there is one other person too.
But how would he leave the Broncos? Is his contract up?
If he came as a defensive coordinator, it's an.
Oh wait, what is he with the Broncos right now?
He's their secondary passing game coordinator.
Yeah, that makes sense. Okay.
On Harbaugh.
Yeah, because Vance Joseph's their guy.
Yeah, on Harbaugh's staff, with the Ravens was former NFL head coach Chuck Pagano. And he's a senior defensive assistant. I would not be surprised to see Chuck Pagano come over with him to the Giants. And I would be very pleased with that as I don't want him to coordinator, but I would like him to be the senior defensive assistant. I want that veteran guy, who's there to kind of help with somebody younger who's coming up to be that first-time coordinator.
This is just fun. It's just fun speculating who these – because, again, we're talking about, like, competent – we're not talking about Shane Bowen. Shane Bowen or who was that guy that other defensive coordinator began with a B? I mean, his last name
Betcher. Betcher.
Or you you could go through these names that now have escaped me. These defensive coaches that we had,
Patrick Graham,
that just went on and did nothing with other, and even not worse than Patrick Graham. But
was Tim Lewis?
We just had awful. We had awful defensive coordinators, and it would be nice to finally have a defensive coordinator in here that can coach defense. Fancy that. I mean, when's the last time we had a good defensive coordinator with Spags, right?
Oh, it'd have to be John Fox before that.
Yeah,
so we were lucky to have two.
We're
Spags
known for
later,
defense, but when you think about it, we've had a horrible run of defensive coordinators for 20 years.
Spags came later because Coughlin had to get rid of.
Yes.
Basically, got rid of both coordinators.
Yeah.
Gilbride kind of took over a little bit at the end of the year before, and then became the offensive coordinator. Spags took over the start. So that was 07. We basically had two new coordinators. Fox was the coordinator in a Fossil, which was I love John Fox as the defensive coordinator before. And then you go back before that, it would be Belichick, because at one point we had Rod Rust was there. I'm like,
we went to a Super Bowl with John
yes,
Fox. With who is that guy that played corner opposite Seahorn?
Sam Mattis.
No.
Thomas, not Thomas. Was it
something
Thomas?
Wasn't something Thomas?
Oh, Terrell Thomas?
No.
So it's Thomas Randolph. We got.
No,
Thomas
I'm talking
Randolph
about the 2000 Super Bowl, the 2000 team, the one that had the guy. Let me bring it up.
Oh, Dave Thomas.
Dave Thomas. That's who it was.
So
I mean, that's how good John Fox was. Dave Thomas was the corner on that. Was the starting corner on that team. So he was a good guy, but he wasn't a good player. I mean, so anyways, we're going. I'm getting off subject.
No, it's fine. So I think the coaching roster, the coaching staff is really going to be interesting to see.
Yes.
What gets put together, because again, for the longest time we've had a head coach, right? The head coach comes out, and then we got a few people, and there's a couple staffers that you kind of have heard of before, but most of them are just guys. There are going to be some guys that we're going to know their names. When these guys get brought on board, you're going to know who they are.
MTK, go back and look at the ranking of the New York Giants defense in the 2011 season. You will be shocked at where the Giants ranked in the 2011 season. They were dead last or near dead last. I'm not kidding.
It was bad.
They were like 30th, 31st, or 32nd in 2011. So yeah, they won a Super Bowl with him, but he wasn't a good defensive coordinator. And that team had defensive players. That team only got into the playoffs because of Eli Manning, Victor Cruz, and Hakeem Nicks. And then once they got into the playoffs, the defense finally showed some life, and the running game finally showed some life. But you go back and look at that defense was terrible. Anyways, I'm off. Anyway, sorry.
So no, you're totally fine. And yeah, and an optimist, 100% on the run in 11. And I remember this because I was doing a talk show online at that time for an online radio group, and I actually said right before the playoffs started, I said this could be the Giants' run, and the reason why is the fact that the Saints had to travel to play the 49ers. If the last game of the season had worked out differently, and the Saints were getting a home game, that meant the Giants would go to go play the Saints instead of getting the Falcons in the playoffs.
Right.
And that probably would have been it, because we were horrible in New Orleans, and New Orleans was geared. But you put New Orleans, their offense and everything on the grassy field in San Francisco, that evened it all out. But the Giants were a slugger kind of thing, and you put them on the grass field, and we're okay with that. And that really worked out well for us. Had things gone differently, we go to New Orleans, probably don't even have that run.
I want to just do a shout out here. John in Albany is one of my favorite posters ever on the site. And it's one of the reasons why I miss the Giants not being in Albany, is because in training camp, because they don't get to run into John. John posted last night that we should have done the show at midnight. And I said, you're in bed. And so tell him the story about what happened at 3.
So 3, I wake up at 3. I go to the bathroom. I grab my phone just to see what time it is. And I look, and I got an email from Eric going, we got Harbaugh. So now I'm looking, I'm up there. I'm thinking to myself, God damn it. If he only had a smartphone and text me, I would have got up.
Yeah, I know. My kids hate it when I say email them. They just say, oh, email, what are you talking about? Anyways, back on topic. So the next thing here is is like you said, it's going to start leaking out assistant coaches. That's going to be fun. We're going to have a press conference Monday. I'm guessing Monday, Tuesday would be the press conference. I think the NFL like that angry Giants, and what is it? Angry Giants Insider?
Angry. It's like angry NFL Insider or something to that effect.
He may be full of shit, but he nailed this whole thing down to the fact that he said, again, the NFL was going to tell the Giants, don't overshadow the playoffs. So he nailed that.
Even better is what he said was originally, and I brought it up, and you were like, "Hold on," and I was like, "No, I'm not saying it definitively that it's correct. I'm just saying what he wrote, which was that the Giants would be in and he would go to dinner with the Giants." Now, the reason I bring that up because
and the days he got the days right.
Yeah, and the reason I bring that up, and you're like, "Oh, that's not a big deal." No, it actually is. So the plane is supposedly going to leave. The beat guys are all posting that it's done. There's not going to be any whining and dining. And I'm like, I'm pretty sure they're out to dinner right now. And then you started seeing posts saying they're actually at this restaurant now. So that he somehow knew they were going to there was going to be a dinner that night. Seemed to know kind of where it was. I don't know who this guy is, and if he's just lucky as all hell,
and it might be again. You got to figure
that's pretty
they were going to
specific to
take
be
him out
lucky.
to dinner, and you had to figure that the Giants were going to meet with him this week. So he could have just said, but he stuck to his guns, and he said, "All right."
And he said it was a done deal already.
What?
Yeah. And he said it was a done deal already.
And he said if it doesn't happen on these days, then you guys can come back at me and tell me I was full of shit. And it happened. So again, so I immediately started following him. So
there's this other guy too. There's this other guy, Anthony something or other. Yeah, he was all on it too. He kind of they both were going back and forth about what they had heard and known. I don't know how or where they were getting it from.
It sounds like the Harbaugh camp was very loose-lipped about not to the press,
but to somebody.
Other than Ian O'Connor, that Harbaugh wanted to be here. I think if I'm hearing it, then I'm nobody. If I'm hearing it, then it's out there. So
right.
So I think again, as long as the Giants didn't screw this up, and they didn't screw this up, it's gonna. Oh, one other thing too, we should talk about. What's going to be really fascinating now is Joe Schoen. What's his role? Is he stick with the team? Is he going to be like you've speculated? Now you may have changed your view on this. You've speculated that he may not be long for the team if John Harbaugh came in here. But does he stick around? And if he does stick around, has he been somewhat neutered? Or what's the deal there? Or has nothing changed? So I got to think something's changed. That Harbaugh, and this was widely reported by asshats and other reporters that the Giants would have no issue with Harbaugh having more say in personnel matters. So you got to have to believe that that's what's going to happen, right?
I would think so. So my stance has changed slightly because Joe Schoen played a much bigger role in a lot of this stuff than we originally thought he was going to.
Mm-hmm.
He is the one who was out to dinner with Harbaugh that night. It seems like maybe
what night? What are you talking
about? Wednesday night. He was the one who went out to dinner with.
I thought they all did.
I don't know. All I saw was the picture of Harbaugh and Shane and the owner of the restaurant. Maybe everybody. I doubt John Mara. I doubt John Mara did. I doubt.
No, but you think Joe Schoen just was the only one who went out to dinner with him?
Well, I mean, it's possible that it wasn't that big of a deal at that point that they had already.
True.
You know what
that's
I mean?
True.
And maybe they're talking. I don't know. All I saw was that picture.
Yeah.
But word is that maybe Giant fans are a little more anti-Joe Schoen than some other people in the league are. And if you look at it, one of the things I said is your argument can't be about Schoen that he's just getting the guys that he wants. He gets the guys the coach wants. That happened throughout the whole time. And
for better or worse.
Exactly.
He got Dart. He got Deonte Banks.
And if you get Banks for a guy and then you get rid of that coordinator, it's a bad pick, right? It has to fit what your team is doing, not just what the guy's doing.
I can't get over still. Remember remember before Hard Knocks, the Giants used to put out the Giants life videos where they would do the draft too.
Yes.
I cannot get over them celebrating and high five over trading up to get Jalen Hyatt. They did. We got them both. We got Schmitz and Hyatt.
Sounds like a venereal disease.
Yeah.
I got the Schmitz and the Hyatt. So I think Harbaugh is basically going to come in. He's just going to tell him what he wants, right? It's going to be arranged what he
Yes,
wants.
I
And
agree.
and the one thing that I've always said, and that does, I'm not trying to give myself credit, but one thing I've always said about him in particular is he plays the draft well in terms of he really maps out what the other teams are going to do. He knows kind of where they're at, and good or bad, credit or not credit, depending on how you want to look at it. He did get Jaxson Dart without giving up the farm. Where if Dayball had his option, I think we both will agree now. Dayball needed a quarterback and wanted a quarterback so desperately that even at 3, he probably would have taken Dart if he could just have his choice and not waited and possibly miss him. Schoen played that really well, got the guy that the coach wanted, didn't give up a ton, and still really made it happen. So I'm thinking they'll work together for a little while. Now, the question becomes, does Joe Schoen get an extension on his contract?
And he might. It just depends. That's what's going to be interesting to find out. And I don't know if we'll ever really know who has more say. But I agree with you. I think Joe, as you said, and we've talked about before, Joe Schoen has largely gotten what?
I'll put it up.
Now I'm distracted.
So one of these days, Tim McDonald will just start saying some stuff at Schoen, and he'll look to him and he'll go, "Do you deny these charges?" Lord Baelish. He'll be like Joe Schoen. I'm like, shit, that's not good.
It'll be interesting to see. Like, look, you're right. Schoen did go out and get players for the coaches. Question is how much of that also played in free agency? Because like the Giants have made some really bad decisions in free agency, in who to let go and who to bring in, and that's got to change too, or we're not going to go on. I mean, we can't we can't keep getting into these situations where, and again, I hope they turn it around, but for the amount of money they spent on Paulson Adebo and Javon Holland, it isn't worth what they got in return. And I just did the review on the season, and my goodness, I mean, the number of plays they did not make. I mean, Javon Holland only had like 5 pass defenses on the season, and he wasn't really good against the run at times. I mean, so what? I mean, why are we spending? Why do we pay all that much? So anyways, and maybe he'll play better on a new
with a different defense
coordinator.
Yeah.
But the Giants free agency. I mean, Golston was a disaster. We already talked about James Hudson. I mean, their free agent period this last year, they spent a ton of money, and they got very little in return for. That's got to change too. So was that because Joe Schoen, or was that because of the coaches? And I don't know the answer to that. We're coaches lobbying behind the scenes. Now, what we saw in Hard Knocks, it looked like Joe Schoen was the driving force behind that in 2024. But again, that stuff's edited. We didn't see a lot of Brian Daboll sitting down with Joe Schoen and saying, "I want this, I want that, I want." We didn't see that. Brian Daboll did not want to be in Hard Knocks. That was very clear from the start. He didn't want to be in any scene in that thing. So, and what was left on the cutting room floor would have been interesting to see. But that's one of my questions is, it's not just the draft, it's the free agency moving forward. I hope Harbaugh has a lot more say in like the free agency stuff right now than whoever was calling the shots before, because the Giants have done really poorly in free agency.
I think the free agency, unfortunately, has been sort of the antibiotic to the issue you created for yourself with the draft. Right? You go and you draft a couple guys on positions. Offensive line is a big one. Neal, McKeithian, Azudu. You get those guys, and basically you get nothing out of all of them.
And then you got to go wild and off.
Yeah, and then you spend a bunch of money in free agency.
Secondary, John Runyon, you give him $30 million.
Well, secondary is the same thing, right? Like, so secondary, you draft Banks, you draft Trey Hawkins, you draft Newbin, you draft Belton, you got all these guys, and then you make the dumbass statement, which again, it's not that I'm against the statement, but it doesn't sound good when you then go and do something that is absolutely the opposite of what you said. But when you go, well, you don't spend a ton of money on a safety when you need an offensive lineman or you need a this. Okay, so don't spend the 17 million on McKinney, but then you go and spend a ton on Holland and you spend a bunch on a Debo because you screwed up on your draft picks.
Tyler Nubin has 3 pass defenses in 2 years.
And that
He's
was his
gotten
thing
his,
in college.
I'm not even
He
talking
was
about
a ball
interceptions.
hawk.
He's gotten his hand on the football 3 times in 2 years. And like you said, that's what he was in college football. He had a bunch of interceptions.
So
But
it'll be interesting to see. So by the way, a couple things I just want to confirm real quick. Ryan Dunleavy posted something which says that at that dinner was Chris Mara, Joe Schoen, and others. So there were some other people that were at the dinner.
oh yeah, I actually put that in the update on the front page. I should have remembered that. It was quite a list of people who were at that dinner.
The
So
other thing that was posted I just saw a little while ago is Anthony Weaver is another name to consider for defensive coordinator.
I'm trying to pull up the dinner thing real quick. And I don't know if I'm having fun talking about this because I'm excited, but I don't know if you want to wrap this up or but I can keep going. But it sounds like we're saying this, we're not terribly focused right now. I'm just celebrating right now. So I don't know
Well,
how others.
it's so here's the thing, right? Like, how can you not be excited for Giants fans that were really down and upset, and that includes us, down and upset that the end of the season rolled about, and all of a sudden Joe Schoen is just being kind of retained. Ownership wasn't coming out that supported the concept that there's something. The issue with John Mara is way bigger than what they've let on. You worry who's going to run it. You know that was a big thing. Which one of the mayors is if that's going to happen? And then all of a sudden, this you bring a true. I hate to sound like Dave Gettleman, but you bring a true NFL adult into the situation.
He is an adult. He's an adult.
He's going to come in and he's going to have a scheme. He's going to have a staff. He's going to have a concept, and he's going to have a path of how I want to get there. But he's got the shiny pieces already there, though. Dart is a big time piece, and by the way, let's give some credit to Jaxson Dart. He showed up at the facility to see Harbaugh, and who else runs into Harbaugh? Cam Scatterwell.
Cam. Yeah,
I mean,
look, Jaxson
guys
Dart.
leading the way.
Jaxson Dart is becoming just a. Again, we'll have to see what he does on the playing field, but he's just becoming a godsend too. So, like I said, if you want to rag on Dable, rag on him. But, and again, I didn't want him to remain the coach, but I think Jackson's here because of Dable. On Good Morning Football, they talked about this, that the Giants are the second worst record in the NFL the last 10 years. They have the worst home record.
Yes.
In the NFL and since 2017. They became a JV team. The Giants were a JV team, and they were run not by adults, and now an adult is in the room. That's if you come away from this podcast with one takeaway, and why are John and Eric and other people excited? I don't get it. John Harbaugh won a Super Bowl a long time ago. What has he done lately? An adult is in the room. That's why we're excited. He is gravitas, whatever you want to call it. John hated it when I used the word moxie.
He has a moxie.
But that was with Dart.
John Mox is just one man. He's John Mox. He's just one man.
He just brings. There's going to be accountability. There's going to be competency. They're just going to be competent. Okay, that doesn't mean they're not going to lose games. They're going to lose games. They're going to lose games. They're going to lose heartbreakers. But right now, they've got somebody who's going to be. Look, he's the best coach the Giants have had since Tom Coughlin, and that's what we got right now. So Tom Coughlin retired. They kicked him and God bless Tom Coughlin and Brian Dable for lobbying on behalf of the Giants too for Harbaugh. They spoke to Harbaugh as well too. And again, Tom Coughlin, as you and I talked about, time heals all wounds, but he left the Giants not wanting to shake John Mara's hand. Dable got fired just a couple months ago, and here they are. And Dable's interviewing with the Eagles in the division, but here he is trying to help the Giants by talking to Harbaugh and telling him to come here. So again, give him credit for that as well too. So Joe Schoen, we should give him credit for having his list together and casting a wide search. They had a great list of candidates that they interviewed, and for who was out there. I won't go so far in saying that he's the one who got Harbaugh, because again, I think Harbaugh was coming here regardless, unless they screwed things up. And credit to the Giants ownership, John Mara, for, if he's as sick as I've been told, he's doing this in his last days, and you really have to respect that. I'm getting a
Yeah.
little choked up over that. I'm
No,
sorry.
yeah.
And Chris Mara, we've given him a lot of shit. I've given him a lot of shit. Chris Mara
Stepped up.
stepped up to the plate. Robert Tisch stepped up to the plate. So they did what they were supposed to do, and they landed him. So,
And I think that John Merritt thing, I think that means something. You know, we talked about it in the last episode. I threw it short from, I had a clipped one of the pieces from the last episode and I put it out there that I said his illness very well may play a role. Like him saying something to Harbaugh, saying, "Listen, you know, I want you here. Like this is our legacy. Things are not well. This has been not been going the way we want. We want you to come in. And I want to bring that in there, and I want to turn this around." And that I said familial, that family atmosphere type thing, right?
right.
The Harbaughs know it. They're a football family themselves, so they understand that. And there's just something to be said about that whole piece. And I think the one thing that we all sometimes are just we're way too easy to go. The Maras are this, the Maras are that. They screwed this up, they screwed that up. And by the way, I'll be the first to admit this. I've said this before. If I owned the team, if I was John Mara, I'd run the goddamn thing too. So and there's not a chance in the world I'd let anybody tell me I wasn't going to. But the point is, he's really respected in the league. He is respected as an owner, that he's not flashy. He's not going to show up in the papers for anything negative. He's not saying something stupid. You know, it's truly a guy that brings it. Now, yeah, they've lost recently, but you know, we're also still one of the few teams in the league with the long history that we have, and we have 4 Super Bowls. Teams aren't, you know, other people want to bring that back in the New York market too. The opportunity, if you've got the guts, you go for it.
I was trying to find the thing because it supported what you were just saying. There was a tweet from somebody, might have been Connor Hughes. I can't find it. There's been so many interesting tweets. I have not been retweeting them all, but somebody said that the Harbaugh family is big into the history of the NFL, and turning the Giants around mattered to John too. So I don't know if that's true, but it's kind of cool if it is. And if somebody in chat knows who tweeted that out, I don't know if it was Connor Hughes or somebody, but somebody tweeted out that there, or it might have been Eno Connor, I don't know. Tweeted out that there was a recognition by the Harbaugh family that the Giants were a special situation. So let's see, you know, because they haven't been special the
Right.
last, unless you want to talk about the short bus again, but they haven't been special the last 15 years, and that's why this is exciting. And as somebody who runs the website, is a co-host on a podcast that covers the team, things are looking up finally. So 2026 is going to be fun. 2027 may be even more fun, and this is good. This is just you should be very, very pleased. That doesn't mean there isn't going to be pain.
Sure.
So
if you want to give some additional credit to another person we haven't mentioned, there's been a number of posts. I've seen this shared by a couple of different media folks, so I believe it's pretty solid now. Eli Manning, at one point after they fired Brian Daboll, reached out to John Mara and basically told him, "You need to get an experienced guy in here to take control, quote unquote, take control of the building."
but
And
he would know.
that's what led John Mara. That's where we started to hear that rumor that the Giants were looking for an experienced person. Clearly, that's where that started.
Remember, Eli played under Tom Coughlin and then played under other coaches that weren't so commanding.
Yeah,
So
weren't great.
he
Yes.
would know.
And he
would know.
understands the building, right? He understands the upper part, because getting control of the building also means, the other people. I think the Giants had a whole lot of. I don't want. I was going to use a kitchen piece, but I'm not really a chef. But they had a whole lot of mid-level managers, but not somebody who could run the whole deal.
Yeah. I don't know if I should say it or not, but I'm going to.
Go for it. Well, I don't
The
know.
people that were thinking that this wasn't going to even a possibility, I hope you realize, I hope you celebrate today. There were a lot of people on the website that said this wasn't going to happen. And that the people that were saying it was going to happen were full of shit, and it did happen. And
Right.
so again, we always get into these battles about whether people are plugged in or not, and we get into the situation where, again, we've been so beaten down that everyone is negative, like you said earlier, everyone's negative about everything. And there were a lot of posts by people that said this isn't going to happen, and stop talking about it, and we're going to get screwed, and we're going to get our. And again, I brought up the worst case scenarios myself on this podcast. I said, there is a risk that if they don't get Harbaugh, if they wanted Stefanski, he could get hired by somebody else before, if Stefanski, and no one did, but what if Harbaugh dragged his feet on this and Stefanski signed with somebody else? Those ideas are there, but there were people that were convinced that's what was going to happen. And there was a post late yesterday that said we were going to get Lou and
Yeah, Anarumo.
Anarumo as our head coach again. So be positive. Be a little positive, I guess, is what my message is. Don't always assume the worst.
But it's not. It's not just that, because we brought this up and we talked about it, and I said it to you. The thing okay, there may be some bleeps here. The thing that pissed me off the most is you had basically two sides of the coin, and the argument or the negativity took both sides, right? The first side was, it's not going to happen. Giants aren't going to get this guy. It's not going to happen. But then the other side of it was also, then they were like, oh, they're just begging. They're just throwing stuff out there. It's embarrassing. They're trying. And I'm like, okay, so either you think he's not going to come, or you think they're trying too hard. But it can't be both. Because if you want somebody to come, the way to avoid them not getting here is to pull out all the stops and make it happen.
What was the word you used the other day? Determined? What was it?
They were absolutely
persistent. What did you use?
They were determined to get their guy.
Yeah, I don't think it was desperate. I mean, I guess in a way you could use that word, but
desperate. Desperate would be
what?
But desperate would, and I don't mean to offend these particular coaches. I don't mean it like that, but like Vance Joseph, Raheem Morris, Stefanski, even those guys, they got let go from jobs. They did okay. They weren't great. They did okay. They had some good years. They had some bad years. John Harbaugh has been a good coach, regardless of what the Ravens poster in chat is trying to say.
Wait, is he still back here?
He's around here somewhere. I don't.
Is it the same guy from the other day?
No, it's a different guy. Well, I think it's a different guy. It's a different sign. 18 years, multiple double-digit win seasons, multiple playoff appearances, over 18 years. This is the best coach on the market. When there were 7 openings, but yet 9 teams were contacting him, that tells you 2 teams were going, hey, we'll get rid of our guy.
Oh yeah, it's
if we could get
anyone. If there's any, again, my ad manager is a gigantic Ravens fan. My nephew is a gigantic Ravens fan. They're not happy that John Harbaugh's gone, and I understand some Ravens fans would be like, it's time. I get that. But sometimes you have to be careful what you wish for, and it may work out for the Ravens. We'll see. I'm still firmly convinced that he's not there because of Lamar Jackson.
Yes.
I think so, but and more people are starting to say that, by the way. But so I'm saying that because it makes me sound like I know what I'm talking
Thanks, Lamar.
about. But anyway, but look, what John just said is 100% correct. Everybody in the league immediately pivoted to John Harbaugh. He was 1A. There wasn't a 1B either. It was after that. It was 2, 3, 4. But he was he was it. He's the guy, and nobody else was getting. No, have you noticed? No one's else was gotten hired because they were waiting to see what John Harbaugh
Right,
was going to do.
right, right.
And that's John Harbaugh was everybody's preferred guy, and some people knew they weren't going to be in it, and that's why some of us were getting a little nervous when the Titans were starting to get more and more airtime, and I just don't. I think in hindsight, he just not he wasn't ever gonna go to Tennessee and talk to them. So that was the only thing that was thrown out there that ended up being 100% incorrect was this narrative that he was going to live up to his promises and visit these other teams, even though he might have want to go to the Giants in the first place. What we were told by other people ended up being correct, that he was going to sign with the Giants and not visit the other teams. And again, I wish I remember who I saw today, but somebody, and I haven't seen it posted on Twitter. I saw it on TV. Somebody said he had already the deal was done before he left the Giants, and it wasn't supposed to get out until they said local reporters spilled the beans, and that would be Paul Schwartz. And I don't care if Paul Schwartz spilled the beans, and that was great last night. And again, the only thing it prevented me from getting any sleep, but it was like, and it pissed off my wife because I woke her up and I said, "They got him, they got him," and she's like, what's going on?" I'm like, "They got." God, she
Hey,
doesn't give a shit.
it's huge. My wife was like, "What the hell are you doing up at 4 o'clock in the morning?" I'm like, "Because Eric messaged me. He emailed me because he doesn't have a
I
smartphone.
emailed you at like
It was midnight. You emailed at midnight,
or
and I'm
something like
getting it
that.
at 3:30, and I'm like, God damn it! I'm like, and then I look and people were like, "Can you guys do an impromptu
But why
show?"
are
And I'm
you
like,
reading text at 3 o'clock in
I
the
was
morning?
because I checked because my every time I get up in the early, I never know what time it is. I keep it really really dark in the room, so I don't
Yeah,
know.
it's nighttime, John.
So because I tried to get up to go work out, so I woke up and I'm like, all right, I gotta, I need everybody doesn't need to know this. I was gonna go to the bathroom, so I got up and I looked at my phone and I'm like, oh crap, it's only 3:38. And I'm looking and one of the notifications on my screen is Eric Kennedy. I'm like, oh shit. Like I look and I'm like, what? And now I couldn't put it down from there. I'm like
Well, I knew
reading
you
all.
didn't know because I didn't get any message from you about when's the next show. So, but then this morning it was like 8 messages from you
And
about when's the
I'm
next
like trying to do.
show.
I was like all excited. I was literally just pulling the curtains back. Sometimes if I need to get a hold of Eric quickly, I will have to text Mrs. BBI.
Yes, Mrs.
It took
BBI.
every restraint that I had not to text Mrs. BBI at 5 o'clock in the morning that I was trying to get a hold of Eric.
Yeah, she doesn't keep her phone near the bed, so
So I
that
was
wouldn't have
like,
been a
I'm just not
problem.
going to do
All right,
that. That's not
so
cool. So
um,
anyway, but yeah, this is exciting, right? It sucks that our most exciting times take place after January when we're no longer playing. I would love it if it was after January because we're actually playing in the playoffs. But for right now, this is the biggest thing that could happen for
yeah,
real. Like, I mean, just getting a new coach would have been like, okay, it's a breath of fresh air. This isn't a breath of fresh air. This is holy shit. We just sold our house. This is our new place. So we're moving in. I love everything about it. Now it's gotta stay that way. But I feel pretty goddamn confident that this guy's not going to come in and just fall flat on his face. And that's the thing you eliminate when you bring in a first time guy out of anywhere. You have zero idea. There's no basis to go, okay, he's pretty solid. You're hoping whatever he did as a coordinator will carry over. This guy, I don't have to worry about it.
the I apologize for keep bringing this up, but my ad company is a UK based company, and it has American employees here in the States that work for it. And the US employees had to explain to the UK parent why a New York Giants football site's traffic exploded after their season was over. So he was laughing about that. He said why they had to tell the English why the Giants a Giants site that should be kind of traffic should be dying right now was exploding. And the guy who's a Ravens fan had to tell them, well, I know again, because he knows Harbaugh. No, you don't get it, because they were wondering if there was something fishy going on. So it shows you how excited Giants fans are. We're getting more traffic now than we did in the season, and it's understandable. So, as you said, we've become the Washington Redskins of the old Washington Redskins when they used to win the offseason. But it looks like we may have won the offseason. So, we'll see. We've got the draft coming up. We have free agency coming up. We got a whole bunch of new coaches that are going to be hired. January is going to be fun. March is going to be fun. April is going to be fun. I don't know about February. We'll see. But we got a lot of things going on now for the next couple of months now that are going to be way more interesting than the last few months of the New York Giants season is. So I'm excited. It'll be fun.
Well, there'll be a lot of word coming out, I think, in February about who's probably staying and who's going roster wise. The idea that the joke about Neal and Hyatt being cut. Well, first off, Giants can't cut anybody right now, so it doesn't matter. It's meaningless. Those guys don't even have contracts anyway. Pretty soon, so they're free agents after the season's over. So the Giant doesn't matter.
Yeah, Evan Neal's a free agent.
Yeah, and Hyatt, I believe Hyatt wasn't he? That's his last year was this year, wasn't it? Or does he have one more?
I bet I would have to check.
I have to double check. But either way,
I don't even think about him anymore.
Why would you? What has he done? I mean, he didn't even play. When you're literally when Gunnar Olszewski is leading your receiving core in the last game of the season, and Hyatt's not even active.
He wasn't even active.
Oh, you need to know.
I mean, so wait, his contract is up 2027 off season. So he's got
one more year. Okay.
He's done. No, and they're not. John Harbaugh is not keeping Jalen Hyatt. I can tell you that right now. They're going to look at one. They're going to look at him and look at how he runs routes and how he quits, and they're going to say
cutting him beforehand, before June 1st, saves us $1.5 million. There's only a $272,000 dead hit. You take that, and you say, see ya.
Yeah.
have fun. Good luck. I'd say catch a bus, but you can't catch anything else. So
like I said, if anyone wants to get a good laugh, start reading the and if you catch any errors or typos or something that you thought I should have included, but read the part of the website on the player bios. Again, they're just short blurbs. I'm not going to make them long, but read the Jalen Hyatt one.
Well, we'll do a lot more once the coaches are settled in. Because we'll do shows about the coaches and things like that, but we'll start doing a lot more on the roster. But one other thing, so when we were talking about the possibility of Linderbaum, which is a possibility because he absolutely is what they want to do. I believe this is Schmidt's last year on his contract. The Giants could trade or cut him and save $1.6 million of his $2 million salary. They would only have a $400,000 cap hit, a dead money hit to do that. So it's not impossible that if they get Linderbaum that they could move Schmitz. There's no reason to keep him if you sign Linderbaum because he's strictly a center. You can't do that.
And there's not that much giant drop off between him and like a Schlottman
and quite frankly, you could get a return from another team that needs a starting center. He can play. He's certainly a decent enough center. And he's young. So someone would take that cheap salary if they could. So if the Giants go that route, I would expect he gets moved. Hyatt's definitely going to be off. Someone mentioned in chat, they asked a question, what if John Harbaugh liked Evan Neal? I can imagine that John Harbaugh may have liked Evan Neal when he was coming out in the draft, but there has been nothing since he's been on the Giants to say you like him. He hasn't played.
Evan Neal will be out of the NFL in a couple of years. He'll probably bounce around a couple of teams and who want to take a shot at him. But, unless something really weird happens, that again, I just did the write-ups on this. I have to tell you this. Where is it? Sure. Wait a minute. Let me find Evan Neal real quick. So when I did the write-up on Evan Neal, I hate AI, but AI was great with doing the reviews because what I could do is put in size game reviews and say provide a summary of how such and such player did, and it would spit out, instead of me having to go through 17 game reviews, it would spit out how Paulson Adebo did. Evan Neal, remember, did not play a snap for the Giants. He was active for one game, but he didn't play in that game. So he did not take a snap. Seventh player taken in the draft did not take a snap. But
at any point. Not special teams,
He was
nothing.
on the when they brought him back to practice, he was on the injury report with hamstring, back, and neck issues. So the 3 weeks he was brought back, he had three different injuries that he could only have suffered in practice, which they don't really practice that much in the NFL anymore, especially during late in the season. So how the hell did he get what was it, neck, hamstring, and whatever I said? But how did he get those injuries?
Why?
In 3 weeks? How
I,
did he get those injuries?
yeah.
I
It's
mean,
got to
smart,
be
tough,
one of
dependable.
yeah,
STD.
yes. Again, I'm telling you, you never pick. You don't.
He's got an
Come on.
STD.
When you looked at it, you had to go, ah, shit. If we just use those letters, that's not good. We can't do that. You should have come up with anything intelligent, tough, and dependable. Would have been great, right?
Yes.
You know, but no, we're going with STD because we're stupid.
We're stupid. Remember my rant during the season? They're just a stupid organization. They're just stupid. They're not stupid anymore. They're not stupid anymore.
I think you called them
moron,
moron one and moron two.
They're not stupid anymore.
You had moron one and moron two.
Moron one and moron two. They're not stupid anymore. John Harbaugh's in the building. They're not stupid anymore.
If the Giants trade, and the only reason I bring this up is because I saw it on X by one of the beats, brought it up, and I asked in chat just a little while ago. If the Giants trade Kayvon Thibodeau pre June 1st, they will save almost $15 million on the cap. That is one to watch because that's a possibility.
I'm reluctant to go there. There was one of these fly-by-night Twitter accounts, again, which I shouldn't put a lot of stock in, but there was a post on BBI that somebody said, maybe you remember this, John, that not only were the Giants a country club atmosphere, but they were beyond. I'm going to be careful with my words here because I don't want to get a legal issue here, but they were beyond having a country club atmosphere. Do you remember Bill Parcells' issues?
Yes.
In '83?
Yes.
Okay. I don't know if that guy was accurate or not, but if there was any semblance of any part of what he was saying that was remotely accurate, there's going to be a house cleaning coming up. That will be interesting.
And you could probably take some wild ass guesses. I'm just going to leave your comment in chat, Optimus. I'm not going to put it on the screen. Well, I guess technically I did put it on the screen, but yes. I'm not going to highlight it on the screen. You could probably take a guess at a few of the people that we're probably talking about, just based on the way that they played, their overall attitude, some other things. I think you probably could take a wild ass guess on that one. But one thing I will say, I went against what you were saying, and I want to backtrack slightly. John Runyon, if the Giants were to cut him, they would save $9 million.
Yeah, he's a huge. Hey, look, he's not as bad as people say he is. He's not a bad player. He's decent. If you go back and look at the game reviews, he's solid. He's not a physical player. He's certainly not somebody you want as if you're going to be a running team. He's not a guy that you want and that's why what he was in Green Bay too. The Giants knew what they were getting when they got him. He was a more of a finesse guard who was a better pass blocker than run blocker, and that's who he's been with the Giants. But if the Giants want to become more like the Ravens, to me, he's not a Ravens type player. So, but like you said, can you swap out 4 of your 5 offensive linemen?
Well, and it's not just 4 of the 5 too, because like I was saying behind the scenes, right? James Hudson's going to go. There's no way they're keeping James Hudson because you save $5 million by getting rid of him.
Yeah, I would think he would be gone unless I would think he'd be gone. Yeah,
I mean, and by the way,
thing is if Illuminor is gone, some of these guys will stick around because they'll just need bodies. You know what I mean?
He didn't even play later.
He didn't play. He didn't play after this week 2.
And let's be honest, Harbaugh and his crew are going to have a very good idea of James Hudson. They played against him with the Browns quite a bit.
That's true. That's a really good point. Yeah, that's a really good point. I was surprised. I had thought James Hudson had gotten back in at some point just because of the injuries. But when I did the reviews and I looked at the snap counts, I was like, oh my God, James Hudson never even really got back on the field again. And That was a big contract. That was $12 million. That
Yeah,
was a $12 million contract.
huge deal. It was a huge deal for what
They spent
they
$12
got.
million to get a guy who played one game and one drive, and in that one drive he committed 4 penalties and melted down and gave up a sack.
Well, if you
He had
think
4
about it,
penalties, gave up a sack in one game.
what's the combined salary this year for Neal and Hudson? It had to be 22, 23 million dollars combined.
Yeah. That's what I mean. Again, so people think
And then they didn't play.
I'm jumping on Shane, but I'm like Pat Leonard here when he said, "Why is Dable gone and you're still here?" You know, so I mean, so well.
So we're going to see. So I think one of the things too, you already brought it up. I had mentioned this on X a while ago too. I agreed. You're gonna see. I think bigger interior offensive linemen is the way they'll go. Especially if
Did Cy say that too?
Well, he said you can count on bigger and more physical offensive
that's
linemen.
what I said too.
More physical and more overall talent at tight end is what you were going to see from them. And I can't remember what the third thing that we talked about.
So Cy posted those things? I didn't see those.
And it was in BBI too. It was in a thread in BBI.
Yeah, I agree completely with him on the offensive. And that's what I said. I didn't see his comments. I completely agree with him. I think the offensive line, that's one of the reasons why I think there's going to be big changes on the offensive line. And to be honest with you, I'm thrilled because I'm really, and people who have been on the site a long time know what an affinity I have for big defensive tackles, and I've always been a big fan of having big physical guards inside. And I think that's more important now more than ever in the NFL because there's so many really good defensive tackles in the league. I think you got to have some athleticism to deal with these guys because they're such good athletes. But I don't want a bunch of finesse players inside. Your center can be you can survive with a center who's like a Schmitz or a smaller guy. There aren't a lot of big, giant, 330-pound centers. Those guys don't really exist. You can find a couple of them, but they're not
even
big. But if you got 2 big guards, that will cover up the center.
Linderbaum's not huge.
He's not. Linderbaum's more of an athlete than and some of the guys that are coming out in the draft again are more like Schmitz. So people who are everyone would love to have a 320-pound center who is an athlete, but those guys don't exist usually.
Linderbaum is 6'2", 305.
Yeah.
So he's a little more stout.
And a lot of times when you see a player listed at 305, it means they're borderline 300. So it's when they got somebody who's 330, they're big.
They're like 370.
When you see somebody's like 301, the team's kind of like tweaking it.
Right. So again, that's the one thing where I'm like, well, while I can see the matchup, the marrying of Linderbaum to Harbaugh, is there a huge drop off from Linderbaum to Schmitz?
And the money, and you got to factor in the money,
and that's the other part. So it depends
on
what
the money spent better or someplace else.
So I think Schmitz might be a little more safe than some people think, but we will see. Obviously, we don't know because I think I'm really hoping, and again, this is something for another time, so we won't drag this part of it out too long. But I think the Giants trading around and down, something they have not done in a while, trade down in the draft is probably something they're going to look to do, because then you can accumulate that third, fourth, sixth round offensive lineman who fits specifically what you're trying to do.
Well, I'm sorry. I keep stepping on your toes. You got to tell me to shut up. Somebody said the other day, "Shut the fuck up, Eric."
Jesus.
No.
Aggressive.
Hey, sometimes you got to be honest. I also think the players the Giants might take at 5 could be there at 10. So
right.
I mean, some people have said like, "Oh my God, we're going to lose Carnell Tate." Carnell Tate is probably going to be a really good player, but I'm not sure he's worth he's not a top 5 player. If you really want Carnell Tate, you probably can get him at 10. And if you don't, there are other receivers in this draft. And Jordan Tyson.
I think a Caleb Downs suddenly becomes far more of a possibility with the
Yes.
type of defense, at least the way the Ravens run they do a lot up the middle, like they solidify the middle. So they have Patrick Queen as their linebacker right now. I can't remember the guy who was the main guy in the middle before that.
Right.
The Giants will have a middle linebacker who can flow side to side and who can penetrate. He's got to be quicker. He doesn't always have to be big. Queen, I think, is like six.
It's just going to suck
two.
if they draft Caleb Downs that they're going to replace Nubin or Javon
Belton
Holland
or
after
Holland,
spending so much resources on them. But Downs is another player that might be there at 10. He's arguably the best player in the draft by some, but safeties don't go high like that. So we'll talk about this on another show.
Yeah, we got a whole bunch
people
of
are
stuff.
dropping off because we're at 140,
dragging.
So
We got it.
dragging right now.
So next steps are the coaching staff, where they go with who's coming on board. So we want to watch, and of course the actual physical announcement where they bring in, and like you said, I think it'll be Monday, Tuesday.
Oh, everyone's going to be watching the press conference.
So that'll be huge. And then we just need to kind of see from there, once you see the staff take shape, you should start to get a picture of where they're going to go. And Master Mariner, we've talked about it, but they haven't said. But Jim Leonard is a name. Anthony Weaver's a name. I don't think those are the only names, though. I suspect.
Oh no,
there'll be some others.
I think everyone's spitballing right now. Again, Pretty Ricky has weighed in on that, which suggests Leonard.
He's suggesting Leonard, yes.
But he didn't say it by name. People are trying to connect the dots because the Wisconsin Badger reference. So we'll see. We'll see. That's going to be a huge one to me personally because I'm so tired of the defensive coordinators we've had.
And then the other thing to watch is, does somebody pop up out of nowhere who's in the front office? Is there a guy?
Oh yeah.
We haven't talked about that, but there may be somebody else that comes with Harbaugh.
Or somebody leaving. And
yeah, I just think that'll take it from the Giants' perspective. I think they were very specific, remember, in their wording when they said for now, and then there was some talk.
I'm not talking about Shane. I'm talking about everybody below him.
Well, that's true. That's true. But I think you'd probably wait till after the draft.
Oh, you would. You would.
They're
not. And again, the reason why they don't do that is they don't ever do it. They always wait till after the draft because they don't want those people to take the state secrets with them because they know who the Giants are looking at.
But if you want a guy to maybe be more involved on the pro personnel side, because the Giants have really, let's be honest, the Giants have borderline failed in their free agency pursuits. The guys we brought on board, a few have worked out. You could say, Karake worked out, but he didn't work out long term.
Yeah.
I mean, and is it injury related? Is it because you switch defenses? Whatever it is, his play dropped off a cliff. Offensive line has been average, even though you spent a bunch of free agency money on it, and then the secondary people were average. So
the director of player personnel is Tim McDonnell. Pro scouting, director of pro scouting is Chris Rossetti. I mean, these are the people I'm talking about. So we'll have to see. These are the names that when Joe Schoen comes out in the press conference and he says, "I'd like to thank so and so, and I'd like to thank this guy and this guy and this guy." Those are the names I'm talking about, not just the scouts, the middle tier guys.
Right.
So
and the other thing to look for is, do the Giants now, with a Harbaugh in place and having say, which it sounds like he does, having say over a lot of the personnel and stuff, do they handle the contracts and cap situation differently? The Giants are very standard in how they do cap stuff. You notice if you look, other teams, the Eagles are a big one. They spread out all these voidable years and shit, and which always leaves them room to operate from year to year. But at some point, that whole thing is going to come calling. But the Giants do things in such a weird way that it's very static. Boom, this is how much it is, and this is how much for the next year, and maybe we push 1 year out and that's it. But they always seem to be in a weird cap situation. I wonder if we see contracts done a little differently.
I wonder if we see contracts done differently, not because of Harbaugh, but because of the Koch family.
And that is possible.
because of the money they brought in.
But usually, though, the difference with the cap stuff, though, is you're playing with the numbers. Now, you're right, though, because when you do that, generally you're paying out a huge amount of money up front that you're claiming or spreading out over X number of years. If I don't have as much cash, I don't give as big all of it
Yeah.
up front, and that
And,
might be true.
and I brought it up before. Is the $1 billion the Koch family put into the team? Did that go out to the families, the Tisches and the Maras, as just here's your paycheck, or is that going into the team coffers, or is there a part of it going into the team coffers? Because if it does, then that can affect what you're talking about with the way the contracts are being done. So
Right.
they might be able to have more flexibility. But those are the kinds of things that I wish Mike Garafolo was still covering the New York Giants, because those are the questions that the reporters should be kind of digging into if they can, but they just don't do that stuff anymore. We don't get real reporting like that anymore. It's it's
So
too
I
bad.
did Connor Hughes. We went back and forth, but we didn't connect enough today to make it happen. But we'll get him in the near
Oh, that'd be
future.
great.
Yeah, we'll get him in the near future so we can ask some
Connor
questions
Hughes
to
got a
stuff.
start on BBI.
He did indeed.
He was just a little lad. He was just
Just a little lad.
he
I
was
was young back in the
he was young. He was just a young.
So I did reach out to a few. I won't say who they were because I haven't gotten very far with them. But I reached back. I went through X, which was Twitter back then. But I had all my stuff from way back when, Eric, and including I'll drop this name only because I didn't reach out to him for anything. There's no reason to. But I don't know if you remember, I used to have Eric Winston, who was played in the NFL at the time, but at the time, he was the head of the players union rep as far as actual playing. So he was the guy that would represent the active players, not the players themselves. And I used to have his contact directly. So I would just email him anytime I needed to ask him questions or I'd bring him on. And he was on, I don't know if he was on our show, but he was on one of my shows that I had done before.
Yeah. I don't remember him being on our show. Yeah.
So I went through there and I was looking, and I'm looking at some of the past people that we had on BBI, and I'm like, hey, I still got their contact info here. I was like, no shit. So I've reached out to. We'll see where it goes.
Get Jerry Reese to come back on.
I've got to get but the problem, we got Jerry Reese through Pat Hanlon.
Yeah, I know.
So if
he would never. Jerry Reese has disappeared too. I think he's.
If anybody knows of how to get a hold of Jerry Reese, I would absolutely go for it. I would have no problem trying to do that.
You know what would be the funniest interview we would ever do would be Ray Hanley.
Well, you've talked about that.
That guy fell off the planet. Ray Hanley just disappeared. So whatever happened to Ray Hanley? He's like, where's Waldo? Where's Ray Hanley? Where did he go? Is he alive? The
poor guy. You know what killed him? It was that shirt.
Yes, I know exactly
that
what you're
shirt that looked
about.
like if you turned your TV sideways when the broadcast day was over. That's what it looked like.
I know exactly what shirt you're talking about too. And I know we should get off because people are dropping.
So with that in mind, like, subscribe, all that good stuff. No, you're good. All that good stuff. Let us know in BBI if there's some topic or specific thing you would like to see while we do these off-season pieces. We have a lot to do here because the staff's going to be getting done. But if there's a specific type of show you would like us to do, if there's something in the past, keep in mind.
Worse than best posters on BBI.
Yeah, that gets a little specific because not everybody who watches this is actually on BBI. Because I've actually had people messaging me, I don't even know what BBI is. I was like, well, that's nice. So yeah, and Cy is definitely Neil. I've talked to Cy. He's going to give me his schedule. We could do I've been toying with this, and Eric does not know this because I haven't talked to him about it yet. But I've been toying with the idea with Eric, is that maybe we do some kind of cool. It almost have to be a member thing though, because the only way I can do it is I have to limit it to the number of people that we would invite. But if we did where we could bring people onto the screen and then I could limit the number of people, or we found a way to do that. But it's hard to do a call-in because literally I have to give you the link to be on the show. And then that's really specific. It just gets a little weird to do it that way. But yeah, we could figure something out. And we do chat right now, by the way. I don't know why I need a Zoom chat. We're doing it right now.
I've talked about having people jump on with us too, but people have said, "Oh, that's open up a whole can of worms."
I know it gets a little now. Like Dave Del Cole, we're into your season now, bud. We're getting pretty close there, so be prepared. We'll be.
Oh yeah, while we're on here, I'm going to be on Dave's show tomorrow.
Oh, nice.
Dave, I don't think we're live. I think you record it. So, but I'll post a link to it when we're done. But Dave and I are going to start talking draft a little bit and team stuff tomorrow. So,
Nice.
so I will post the link on BBI. Dave's great. If you
Cool.
guys aren't listening to Dave's stuff, he's awesome, and he thinks outside the box. And he often ends up being right. John thinks outside the box too, and then John often ends up being right. I was thinking about that today, John, that you and I complement each other very well.
I appreciate
because you will say things that I don't agree with that end up being correct, and vice versa. And
Absolutely.
of course, the opposite's true too.
Yeah, no.
But there are things that you bring up, and I'm like, no. And then I think about it later on. I'm like, John's right. So,
I appreciate that.
So we complement each other very well.
Agreed.
And Dave Del Cole is great with the draft because he doesn't follow the herd. He's he goes with what he believes, right or wrong, and that's why he's awesome. And he's a good dude too. He's just he's one of my favorites too. So if Dave and John, if we lived in the same area, I'm sure we'd be hanging out all the time because you guys are both great.
Awesome.
So
that'd be awesome.
Yeah.
So that being said, like, subscribe. I really appreciate it. We've nailed the views. We had 3,500 on the other episode, the most recent one. I don't know, it was like 12, 13, 1,400, whatever it was. But really appreciate it. Even today, I kind of arranged my day to be free to be able to do this, dealing with a bunch of other shit too. So it was good to kind of have something happy to kind of talk and deal with. So yeah, with that said, unless you got something else, Eric, I think
just be happy, guys. Be happy. This is awesome. It's finally turning around. This is turning around. So I was the guy that always said it could always get worse. Now it can always get better. It can always get better.
Oh my God, it's third.
Win a Super Bowl. We can win a second Super Bowl. We can win a third, fourth, fifth. Here it comes. 5-year contract, 5 years Super Bowl. We're on here. No.
Nice. Eric's only had one beer. That's awesome.
Yeah, I had one beer. So
nice. All right.
Yes.
So that said, Optimus mentioned Saturday. I don't know. Eric and I haven't even talked about doing the next show. Who knows? I mean, at this point, I would say we'll probably wait for the next big thing,
which will be the press conference.
Hopefully, unless all of a sudden we start hearing who all the coordinators are. But I think we probably won't hear that.
We probably only will hear
rumors. Probably
Monken. I mean, we've already heard Monken, so
I'm happy about that. By the way,
if it's Leonard, then we're not going to hear until the Broncos are out. So
which will be right after, which is when they play the Bills. So there you go.
Yeah,
I'm going with the Bills. I'm going with the Bills to upset them.
The Bills defense has to play better. We'll see. It's
gonna be New England Buffalo in the championship game. It's going to be who I'm trying to remember. Is it the Seahawks? Who are the Seahawks playing? The Rams or the 49ers?
Oh, I don't. I actually
I think it's the 49ers. The Rams are playing the Bears. Rams are playing the Bears.
I've been so focused on the John Harbaugh stuff. On that, what's going on in the NFL right now to me is just background noise right now. I've been watching the games, but I'm like not that into. I'm more excited about what's going on. The Harbaugh stuff just dominated my week. That's all I've been focused. Yeah,
absolutely. But I'm pretty sure I'm right. It's 49ers, Seahawks, Rams, Bears. I think it's going to be Rams, 49ers. I think it'll be Patriots, Bills, and then ultimately, I think the Patriots are going to make it through to the Super Bowl on the AFC side, and on the NFC side, I kind of have a feeling the Rams are going to get back there with Matthew Stafford.
The Patriots might be on the verge of another dynasty. run. I mean, they're set up. They've got the coach and the quarterback, which is what we hope with the Giants.
True.
So what happens? We have some more Giants Patriots Super Bowls coming up.
I'd be happy with that.
Yes.
I would be ecstatic.
Look, don't sleep on the Patriots. They are a well-rounded football team. They could win it all this year.
Don't sleep on P.O. Don't sleep on
P.O. But the only last thing on the NFL is no Chiefs, no Eagles. Thank you, Lord. Finally, no Taylor Swift. Oh,
nice.
Gone. Thank you. I know they weren't in the playoffs, but I've just done with the Chiefs for a while and done with the Eagles. I'm always done with the Eagles, but anyways.
Yeah. Burn in hell, Philadelphia.
Burn in hell. On that note, like, subscribe.
All right. With that, like, subscribe, all that good stuff. We will catch you real soon. If something major breaks, which I don't know what that could possibly be, but if there is, we'll figure it out. But for now, we'll catch you real soon.